Good morning. Thank you for being here with me on such an early time. I'm happy to be here and to be talking about setting up a connected experience in digital education. What should you expect? There should be something. Yes. This one. Both or just one? So, coming back, what to expect today? Where is digital education heading to? What is the job to be done by digital education? Which challenges await us? And how to design a connected experience in digital education? But first, I would like to understand a bit better your context. So I hope you're fine sharing. Are you teaching? Okay. Are you designing content? Okay. Are you setting up the strategy? Okay. Are you in the administrative part? Okay. Something else that I didn't think of? What? Speaker. Funding and? Credentials. Okay. And? Technical part. Okay, thank you. So, no matter your position, I ask you one question. If you would have to choose, would you say technology in education? Yikes. Ooh. Or would you say technology in education? Yay. But I'm pretty sure you know some people that would say technology in education, no, that doesn't work. And actually, everybody's right. Why? Because technology in education can distract participants, can remove them from opportunities for socialization, can discourage creativity, can make content boring because of less direct interaction, can create barriers when there are connection issues, can exclude when the equipment is not accessible. But technology in education can also excite and engage participants. It can prepare them for the future. It can encourage spontaneous learning. It can allow flexibility, convenience, self-place. It can offer opportunities for collaboration. It can also include participants that otherwise wouldn't be able to. So, where is digital education heading to? And I'd say no matter the side you are on, yay, yikes, digital education is here to stay. And actually, I think in the future we won't talk about education and digital education because digital would be implied. All education would have a digital aspect. And if you're not convinced, then consider this. 62% of the workers aged 22 to 65 claim to work remotely, at least occasionally. Also, many of them don't consider jobs if they cannot work remote or hybrid now. Also, 70% of the jobs will require advanced skills by 2030. That's very close. And notice, advanced skills. So not normal basic skills, which are email, word processing, social media, web-based research, data entry, behaving responsibly on the web, but user experience design, programming, web and app development, CEO, data analysis, augmented and virtual reality. And education has the responsibility to keep the pace. So, including digital in our education is not optional anymore. The pandemic forced us to reconsider classic approach, but now we need a better way to integrate them. So this brings us to what is the job to be done by digital education. And this is a framework that comes from product management. And the question to ask is actually, what job are we hiring digital education to do? And also following the framework of product management, there are two types of jobs. One is functional, and it's the one that we are all aware of: knowledge, delivering knowledge and developing skills. The other one that sometimes is forgotten, and especially when talking about credentials or accreditations, is the emotional part, the individual, the personal, the community. So if we talk about an abstract level, what is the job to be done by digital education? The job is to enable people to develop as individuals and to allow them to participate in society in a responsible manner. And if you think about it, this actually is also the job to be done of education in general. So how can we help people to develop as individuals and participate in society? We go back to the framework that we talked about earlier, like delivering knowledge, developing skills that are relevant in the context, and also understanding, helping participants, helping learners understand themselves and the world that they are in, and understand the others and communicate to others. And this actually means connecting them to knowledge, to skills, to the self, and to the others. Having this frame in mind when we devise our activities. What does it mean, connected to knowledge? Some ideas. It could be what we heard yesterday a few times, more reflection. Tell me one idea you have learned today. How will you use it? What do you remember from last week? Always going back and forth in order for the learners to connect their knowledge with their previous experience. If we are talking about skills, a few ideas, an activity to look up in job ads for tasks and skills for the roles that the participants would want to have, and to discuss those. Then another idea is to use a digital tool that is relevant for those jobs, or to ask participants, to ask learners to sign up for events, either online or in presence, and to bring to the class one idea. What does it mean to be connected to themselves? And I want to pause for a second, and I want you to think about your posture on the chair now, your position on the chair. Do you think it's a good posture or not so much? What I want you to do now is to stand up. It's morning, so moving a bit, your arms, your shoulders, your feet, planting your feet and feeling your position, bringing your shoulders a bit back, but not too much, so that it's comfortable, and you're correcting your position, and then sitting down. Thank you. This is one example how we can help our learners to connect to themselves. Make them aware of the body position of the chair, of the body posture. Also making them aware that sitting for long periods of time is detrimental to health, so they need movement. Or asking them, where do you see yourself in 6 months, in 3 years? And from that, asking them to go backwards. Where do you see yourself in 3 months? What do you need to do in 3 months in order to be there in 6 months? What do you need to do in 1 week? What do you need to do tomorrow? And then connecting them to others, that means talking with the participants, with the learners, about group dynamics and expected friction. This is something I never experienced in school. I just discovered by myself that actually groups are usually, there is tension there. But maybe if we know that there is tension, we are better prepared to handle it. Then allow the space for discussions, teams with pros and cons, group projects. Where does digital come into place? Like those activities that I said, they could be done only face-to-face. But as I said, digital should be involved in our education. And if we do those activities in the digital space, then what challenges do we need to face? Well, the first, and probably that's the assumptions that we need for digital education, are that the participants have to have the necessary equipment to connect digitally. And then the Wi-Fi connection should be stable. And then we come to this. We have activities, but what tools do we use digitally? And this is the learning landscape in 2021. Lots of tools. How do we choose from them? Seems a very complex decision that probably will get us to think, maybe I don't do it today, I'll do it next semester. A myriad of choices with different learning curves, different features, different options for access, various pricing models. So what do we choose? What do we do? I say that we didn't need to stop and leave it for the next semester, but we should start simple. We also heard that yesterday. What does it mean? We start with the tools that we already know, that we and our students already know. And this brings us to how to design a connected experience. So, to your synchronous communication tool, which many times is not your choice, but the institution choice, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Blackboard, WebEx, you should consider adding, every time, a tool that allows for a shared space. An example, Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. Then you should also consider adding a tool for sharing content. Could be, again, Google Sheets or something more, a bit different, like Trello. And a digital tool that is relevant for the jobs that participants will aim for in the future. Or at least a digital tool that allows them to organize their work individually or in group. For me, the starting point in considering this was teaching product management at GISMA Business School. And when I found myself in class after the pandemic, some of the students were online and some of the students were in class. And there was a adaptation period, let's say, in which I was, how do I coordinate? I didn't have any assistant or nobody to check if everybody hears, if somebody writes online, and also to check what's happening in the class at the same time. And at that point, I decided, okay, then I need everybody in the same place. And I created a Google Sheet because that was my choice. I put all the names of the students in one column, and then for each session, I would have several questions. But they are not visible at any point. I hide all the information that is not relevant, and only one question is visible. And then I share the document with the students, and I ask them in class, when we have our face-to-face interaction, and also for the students online, to go in this document and answer the question. And I can see what they say, and I can see where we need more discussion. Also, they have their own pace to answer, and they can come back later and see how they answer throughout the semester, or they can see the most important ideas over the semester. Then, for sharing content, I use Trello. One column for resources from class, one column for support. That means how to do research in an academic setting and how to do referencing, for example. Then one column for career, and then some other columns depending on the subject. I also encourage them to bring here their ideas or their resources that they think they are interesting for the class. And then I have Airtable, which is kind of a Google Sheet, but a bit more fancy, in order to share the events that they can participate. They can go there and they can check if it makes sense, if they have time. Then I also use Google Forms when I think they need an individual space to contribute, and not a common space where everybody sees what everybody is doing. So, takeaways. Digital education is here to stay. Its job is functional and emotional. Start with what's familiar for you and for your participants, and create a shared digital space that allows for synchronous and asynchronous activities. And since the time is short, I will leave you with a question. When do you think of a connected experience in digital education? What is the biggest obstacle that you see ahead for you? You can scan the QR code to answer. to ask your questions, other questions, and to request access to a template with more activities. Thank you. I hope I was in time.